Okay, it being 5 p.m., the Lafourche Parish Council meeting of July 14th, 2020 is hereby called to order. Ms. Carleen, can you please conduct roll call?
Yes, sir. Councilman Jones. Councilman Adams. Councilman Grow.
She does. She signed.
Councilman Melvin. Councilman Wendell. Here. Councilman Perilou. Here. Chairman Ote.
Here.
Chairwoman Boudreaux. Here. Councilman Lorraine.
Here.
And Parish President Chesso.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carleen. If everyone could please rise, we'll be led in the invocation by Mr. Jerry Jones, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by my fellow veteran, Mr. Corey Perilou, and then please remain standing after the Pledge of Allegiance for a moment of silence. Can we recite the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, so we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone could please remain standing for a moment of silence. We got a request from Head Start basically stating that they lost one of their little angels last week, an unexpected tragedy. She had been with Head Start for 2 years and would have started kindergarten in August. And this is Miss Lil Daviana Landry. So if we could just recognize a moment of silence, please. Thank you, and Godspeed to Miss Landry. Okay, we'll start off with item A, approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the June 23rd, 2020 regular session. So moved by Mr. Perilou, second by Ms. Boudreaux. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes by a vote of 9 yeas to 0 nays. I do want to point out and thank everyone also for recognizing our request for everyone to wear a mask. It's really nice to see everyone masking up for your neighbor, so thank you. Item B, certificate of recognition. Number 2, Parish President Archie Chasson III to present a certificate of recognition to Ms. Cora Lee Smith. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had Ms. Corley's daughter here yesterday. We were lucky enough to go to St. Joseph Manor yesterday. Actually, if you look on the screen behind you, you'll see a picture of Ms. Corley. This is a milestone we don't reach very often, or don't get to see very often. Ms. Corley turned 104 at the end of June. So we thought it was befitting to present her with a proclamation. So I'll take a second and read it. On June 21st, 1916, Ms. Corley was born in the St. Charles community. She was the 8th of 10 children to Emile and Bridget Bourgeois. She graduated from St. Charles High School in 1934 and earned her bachelor's degree from LSU in 1938. Ms. Corley married Kermit Smith and had 4 children of their own. She was a lifelong teacher, retiring at the young age of 55. And I'd like to point out at that point, over her 25 years of teaching, she never missed a day. So we talk about kids who have perfect attendance over 12 years. She did it over 25, which I think is really awesome. She's enjoyed an active life of traveling, playing bridge, and visiting with friends. So now, therefore, I, Archie Chasson, Parish President of Lafourche Parish, do hereby recognize Ms. Cora Lee Smith on the celebration of her 104th birthday.
Outstanding.
So I don't know, Ms. Kathy, if you want to share a few words about your mom, but we're happy that you were. Go to
yeah. Oh, face this way. Okay. My mother.
Ma'am, if you don't mind, just state your name and address for the record.
I'm Kathy McGehee now. Kathy Smith McGehee. And let's see, 1204 Marengo Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70115.
Very good.
My mother went to LSU and graduated in 1938 when no female especially, went to LSU. And I want to say something cute about that. At that time, a guy by the name of Abe Michael was the #1 football player in the country. And Huey Long was governor. Huey Long rented a train and took the students on the train to the Ole Miss LSU game. And my mother still talks about that. And I wanted to just mention something really cute, and that's what I wanted to say.
Awesome.
Okay.
Very good.
and
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you coming. Do want to thank Archie for putting that recognition together also.
That's my cousin Donisha. She lives in Lafourche. Yeah, we heard Dad and my dad were nephew and uncle.
We'll wait for a minute for the parish president to walk back in. Yeah, while we're waiting, I'll recognize, I just want to thank Representative Amadi is in the audience. Thank you for being present. And I also want to recognize and congratulate Representative-elect Mr. Ogeron for being present tonight. It's good. You can fill out a blue card if you hang around for a minute, say a few words. We would appreciate it, Joe. We're just waiting for the parish president to come back in to continue with our meeting. We got a camera malfunction, Robin? Was the parish president coming back in, Robin?
Yes, he was right behind me.
Okay. Well, my assumption, he stepped out to take a picture, correct? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll wait another minute or two. Okay. No ordinance? Okay, now that the parish president made his re-entry, move to item C, Lafourche Parish Outstanding Citizen. That has been deferred till another meeting. Item D, presentations and/or updates. Item 3, Dr. Laura Battle was going to give a presentation on Louisiana Girls Leadership Academy. She regrettably contacted us today and asked us to postpone that one indefinitely. She's not sure when she'll be able to make it back. Item E, engineers architect reports. I see a couple. Do we have any? Yes, sir. Just remember, state your name and address for the record.
Philip Chauvin, T. Baker Smith, 412 South Van, Houma, Louisiana. I did send a PowerPoint. I don't know if it.
They're coming.
Two projects to update y'all on tonight. One is the Cyprian pump station. This is a picture again prior to demolition. This is the old station. It's not going.
Jim, can you stand up there and just slide it?
Okay, this is the station as completed. We had a substantial completion inspection on May 18th. And that's pump number 3 where we were running and it was actually pumping water. Right here is where the contractor took the existing stone that was the laydown area, and we relocated it into a parking space and turnaround as requested by the Public Works Director. And this is the bulkhead along the outfall canal on Mr. Truxillo's property. Again, like I said, we had a substantial completion inspection. It was held on May 18th. The certificate of substantial completion was signed by the contractor. We did forward it to Mr. Baroni this week. So that'll be coming up on a future agenda. Contractor has punch list items left to complete, and then once he notifies our office that the punch list items are complete, we'll schedule a final inspection. The other project is for the east side drainage improvements. Jurisdictional determination has been issued. We're waiting on the Corps permit. We don't anticipate any mitigation for this project. As of July 9, the permit was in queue to be issued by the Corps. Anticipated timeline to receive that is 2 to 4 weeks. Again, we're waiting on the Corps. I think we issued this permit, we filed for this permit about a year and a half ago. Also, we're coordinating a meeting with the Public Works Director to review the plans and specs. We've done this once before with the prior administration, however, Mr. Barone would like to go over the plans again. And then once we have approval and a permit, we can begin advertisement. And that concludes my update.
Okay, any councilman have any questions?
I do.
Ms. Boudreaux?
So that east side drainage project, where is that located at? Would that be the LaRose cutoff area?
Yes.
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 So it starts in LaRose and goes all the way to Galliano? The Galliano. That's what I needed to know. Thank you so much.
Can you state what he said it on, so we can hear it on the,
It's in the Galliano area, between. It's around from East 40th to East 90th Streets.
very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? That's it? Mr. Lorraine?
Yes,
One further question, if you don't mind. Mr. Lorraine has an inquiry. Go ahead, Mr. Lorraine.
yeah, Dustin was at the drainage meeting and he talked about this. This has been going on for so long that I don't know what parish president is gonna take credit for it.
Yes, sir.
Started with Randolph, went through Jimmy, and now I guess it's gonna be Archie.
Yes,
And
sir.
hopefully it'll come to Tricia. Because
We,
I only got about 3 or 4 streets in my district, but it's something that's very important because her area, that all drains to the Britain Canal, down the Britain Canal to the pumps behind the country club. And that's been in the making for quite a few years.
Yes, sir.
So hopefully it'll get done. He said he wasn't having any problems with right-of-ways.
No, we have secured those right-of-ways. And, like I said, we filed for this permit over a year and a half ago, and we're finally just getting someone from the Corps to get there, and we're close. We can see the end of the tunnel. We're just waiting for that, permit to come in the mail.
They got a pump station coming there too, in
Yes.
that project.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it reminds me, it's awfully similar to the LaRose flood wall project that started 3 administrations ago. Okay, all right, we got some more engineers and architects.
John Plaisance of GIS Engineering, 16878 Highway 1 in Cutoff. The only project we're working on for y'all right now is West 217th. It is in the lien period, I believe. We will have a change order for y'all next meeting. It was a negative $3,000 change order.
Great. We love those.
$29.95, as I recall.
Yes, Mr. Lorraine?
You'll do it real good because on the punch list, there was nothing.
There was one small item.
One
and we
small?
Took care of that. Yeah.
Okay, you fixed it, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, John.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
y'all.
thanks for coming and address us, John. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Very good. Any further engineers, architects? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Jacob Waste with Dave Waste Engineering and Surveying, 1107 Canal Boulevard in Thibodaux. I have 2 projects to report on. The first one is the Priority Road List 2019 Road Improvement Project to include Petro Drive, West Camellia, East Street, Belterre, and Twin Oaks. The contractor finished all these roads. We had a plan change that was approved a couple meetings ago. Contractors finished up with milling and overlaying all these streets. They have a couple minor items they need to fix, and will be coming for substantial completion soon. And that one will be done soon. Next project to report on is Fairway to Percy Brown Outfall Ditch Improvements. Preliminary designs are 100% complete. We submitted to Public Works. We're waiting on authorization to proceed on with final designs.
Very good. Any questions? Mr. Jones?
Yes, on Plantation Road, right, near the old Capital One Bank,
Yes, sir.
that road was striped.
Yes, sir. They will be
That
addressing that. That is one of the items they're waiting to do.
Thank you.
Very good, Mr. Jones. Once again, thank you for coming and address the council. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Mr. Stevie Smith.
Stevie Smith with All South Engineers. Have a couple projects to report on. The first project is our Alador forced drainage project. I didn't need my address and everything. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, that's fine.
Alador forced drainage project. This project, the council awarded it to LA Contracting about a month ago. We have a pre-construction meeting on the Alador project tomorrow afternoon for phase one. Alador project consists of a pump station and some new drainage pipes across the railroad in the area. Phase one is just the installation of the drainage pipes themselves through the railroad embankment. Again, a pre-con is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon here at the LPG offices. The other project that we have that's active right now is a trailhead improvements here at the Matthews Government Complex. That project has been on hold for a little while as the parish tries to figure out what aspects of the project that can be funded within the budget that you have this year. And actually, I talked to both the parish president and other staff members about that within the last week. The third project that we have for you guys is we've helped y'all with your FEMA claims after Hurricane Barry. You made just about $900,000 worth of FEMA claims after Hurricane Barry. Some of them were for your force account labor, some of them for debris removal, and some of them were some emergency flood control work down in Pontchartrain. Those PWs are in various states of submission to FEMA. A couple of them have been submitted and have moved along quite well. The third one, which is a flood control work down in Pontchartrain, that PW is a little bit more complicated, so it's not nearly as far along as the other two. But frankly, we've had some pretty good progress with all of those FEMA claims. You don't have your money yet, okay, but we've made some pretty good progress with 2 out of the 3. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Anyone got any questions of Stevie? There being none, thanks for the report, Stevie. Appreciate it. Any other engineers, architect reports? Okay, that being none, we'll move to item F, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, etc. Ms. Carleen.
State Representative Vera Amade, you'd approach the podium. Representative Amade, state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Good evening. Beryl Amade, State Representative, District 51, 302 School Street in Houma. Ladies and gentlemen, I came this evening because I had been asked about the petition that was all the rage in the news over the last 2 months or so. The House of Representatives has a petition that a number of House members have already signed. Right now, according to state law, if either House, the Senate or the House, has a majority of members who would sign such a petition that would end an emergency order that's been issued by the governor, then it would take effect. In the House, that means we need 53 signatures. We don't have 53 signatures right now. We have somewhere in the low 40s, perhaps, maybe mid 40s. So we still lack that number. Therefore, the petition right now does nothing. It won't do anything unless or until we have at least 53 signatures and then it's filed. And at that time, then it would take effect. I wanted to explain what the petition actually does. This is a copy of the petition. This is actually the one I signed. I was going to print a copy so each of you could have one, but I had some printer issues and I ran out of time. But I can always send that to you if you'd like. But the petition says that according to the statute that provides for this, a majority of elected members of the House of Representatives, in consultation with the Public Health Authority, do hereby terminate the state of emergency and state of public health emergency due to threat posed by COVID-19, declared by the governor, and it gives the proclamation numbers and such, and any other act or proclamation, that means the extensions that he issues, and that do hereby establish that no further public health emergencies due to the threat posed by COVID be declared by the governor for a period of 60 days following the receipt of this petition. And so the effect of this would simply be to take the current health emergencies that have been issued and end them. And so here's what it does not do. It does not retroactively void anything that's already in place. That means that if this petition was filed tomorrow, none of the funding that's already here, none of the funding that's already coming, none of the funding that's been applied for and qualified for would end. Those are already in place, so it doesn't do that. If this was filed tomorrow, it would simply mean that the orders, the restrictions, the regulations would end. And that would not mean necessarily that the whole state is opened up and everybody gets to run around and do everything they want with no precautions at all. What it means instead is those areas that are still having a high number of COVID patients, the numbers may be rising, the hospitalizations may be rising, would then be able to establish their own emergency parameters. It would leave the option up to the local parish governing authorities and city governing authorities to determine, if they need to, what precautions, what restrictions they might want to put in place. So the Speaker of the House had issued a message to the members of the House about a week ago, or sometime last week. And in that message, he was issuing talking points for those members who felt that they were pressured by their constituents constantly calling and asking, that they were being pressured to sign. And he said, well, if you don't want to sign, here are some arguments. And he outlined what some people believe that the petition might actually do. And I have a copy of that with me also. And so I wanted to go over those briefly. In his message, he was saying that if the public health emergency is canceled, that GOSEP and the Department of Health could no longer coordinate with federal and local authorities on assessment, mitigation, and response due to a public health emergency. Well, he quoted the statute that actually grants GOSEP and such the authority to coordinate. By having the emergency order lifted, it does not mean they cannot. It simply allows them to coordinate in a different way. And it also does not stop local authorities from coordinating with these agencies. It says that if the public health emergency is canceled, GOSEP and the Department of Health would no longer have the authority to decontaminate facilities. Well, it doesn't mean that facilities would not be decontaminated. It just means that it wouldn't be GOSEP that orders it. The local authorities or the owners and managers of those facilities would certainly be free to decontaminate as needed. If the public health emergency is canceled, GOSEP and LDH would no longer have the ability to procure materials necessary. Well, they have the authority right now to procure materials under the emergency orders. If they no longer procure those materials, it does not mean that those materials are not available. Those materials were available a year ago. Those materials are available outside of these emergency orders. So it just changes perhaps the way that someone might go about ordering those materials. It does not mean they're not available. If the emergency order is canceled, facilities that are treating COVID patients could be subject to civil liabilities for injury or death of a patient. Not exactly, because in the last two sessions, we did pass some laws or resolutions that would add an extra layer of protection against add an extra layer of liability protection to local governments, to small businesses, large businesses, to facilities. And those protections would currently say that if somebody comes to your facility and they catch COVID and then they want to sue you because they caught COVID there, as long as you took some kind of precautions, you're really not liable. So you're really only liable for things like gross negligence. Well, you're really already only liable for things like gross negligence because obviously you have not given someone an illness. So that's going to be one for the attorneys to argue about. Sorry, I'm not an attorney. In the event of a natural disaster such as a hurricane or tornado that would require sheltering, the shelter would be subject to civil liabilities for injuries or death of an individual taking shelter. Again, that's one for the attorneys to argue about. Gross negligence comes to mind. Other than that, how would you prove that you actually caught something there, especially if they took certain precautions to be sure that you didn't? Next, if a health emergency is canceled, it's a possibility that Louisiana would lose future COVID-related federal assistance. Well, that's true. It's also a possibility that a meteor could hit Louisiana tomorrow and destroy thousands of acres. We can't tell what the future holds. Would we lose future federal assistance? It's actually debatable. At the beginning of the whole COVID issue, the president issued an emergency declaration, and he did it nationwide, and he did it so that whether a state declares an emergency or not, they're still eligible for federal assistance. So you'd have to go back and find the president's proclamation and decide how that would work. If there is no state emergency order, then it's up to individual parishes, city governments, business owners, and so on, what their actions would be. So if the state is not mandating certain actions, then it would be up to the entity to decide what actions that they're going to take and what they could afford. And again, if it's a local government and they have an emergency declaration, it seems that they're covered already because of the federal declaration. That's another thing that the attorneys can go and research. Okay. There's currently a federal mandate that during a public health emergency, insurance companies providing diagnostic testing, follow-up, and treatment for COVID with no cost-sharing requirements of the insured individual. Ending the emergency declaration creates uncertainty for everyone with private health insurance as to whether COVID treatment will be covered by their policy. Now, besides the attorneys, we'll have to get the insurance companies involved. Again, there is a federal mandate that during a public health emergency, there is a federal public health emergency issued. Therefore, this is probably covered. If it's not, it seems that insurance companies already cover or don't cover whatever your policy says that they will. So it doesn't seem to those of us who have signed the petition that all of these things are certain. It seems that many of these things have already been figured out and they're already in place, they're already in play by the insurance policies, by the federal regulations, by the state regulations, by the federal emergency declaration. And it seems that when the emergency orders are lifted and businesses are back in operation and government is back functioning again, then what we have is we've lowered the need for a lot of the federal relief. As of today, the federal government has not issued an extension, for example, of the $600 in extra pandemic unemployment assistance. That still ends on July 31st, whether we're under an emergency order or not, whether we're in phase 1, 2, 3, or no phase at all. As far as we know right now, that ends on the 31st of July. And so there will be a lot of people who are going to be hoping to go back to work because they're not going to be able to live and pay their bills on what they're going to be receiving without the $600. And if businesses are not open, if businesses are not able to receive them, then we will have as much unemployment as we have now, but with people with no income. And also the extension, there's no extension that I'm aware of things like they can't foreclose on your loan. They can't evict you from your home. They can't repossess your car. So there is a big economic cliff that we're facing in a matter of weeks. And I'm not sure what the next few weeks hold. I have received an Excel spreadsheet of hospital numbers from all over the state, and I've reviewed especially Region 3, which is the region that we live in. I've looked at the numbers for our area right here, Lafourche and Terrebonne, and from what I can tell from this spreadsheet, the reports of hospitals being terribly overwhelmed are not accurate. There may, in fact, be a few hospitals in this state who are near their capacity in ICU beds, for example. But there are very few, and even if one in this town may be overwhelmed or close to overwhelmed, it doesn't mean that another hospital 30 miles away is not sitting there ready to receive patients. I've actually heard from nurses who say my contract has not been renewed because the hospital has no work for me. That's how not overwhelmed the hospitals are in our area. And so personally, I'm hoping that we can move forward and that we can have a more individualized plan of phases that has a greater level of control at the local level, so that only those places that are truly experiencing an emergency and the number of patients going into hospitals will remain restricted. As far as the numbers, it's alarming to me to watch how the numbers are being reported and how they're not terribly accurate. Right now, just so you'll know, when you see number of COVID deaths, that number does not mean that all of those people actually died because the COVID virus killed them. They're really COVID-related deaths. Some of those people did actually die from COVID-19. Many of those people did not. They simply happened to have a recent positive test result, perhaps. So there's a proverbial man who got tested positive and then got hit by a bus, and he's listed as a COVID death. Well, I thought that that was just make-believe until I started talking to health officials and emergency officials in our state and in our area, and it's actually accurate. There were recent cases. I don't want to give enough details that people could identify the individuals. I don't even know their names, so I'm not trying to do anything to reveal who this may be. But for example, if an elderly person died of, I don't know the medical term for dying of old age, but if an elderly person has died of old age last week, but they tested positive for COVID in March, and they either had a false positive or they were just able to overcome it and recover, and yet they died of old age, they are listed in our numbers as a COVID death. If someone chooses to overdose on drugs, but they happen to have had a positive test back in April, they're listed as a COVID death. So what I'm saying is the COVID death numbers are COVID-related deaths. They're not necessarily COVID deaths. And so with numbers being used in misleading ways, with the number of false positives that are coming to light, it's really difficult for me to stand by and trust that the numbers that the public is being given are accurate enough for us to individually really assess our own risk for the activities we'd like to go out and do, or maybe we have to go out and do. It's difficult for the public to tell right now how much risk there really is when they walk into a grocery store, because the numbers we're being given are simply not accurate, and they're being reported in misleading ways. So I wanted to come and share that much with you and ask you to please do your research. Please question. There will be studies and investigations and reports. Unfortunately, they're not going to take place quickly enough to help those who are making the decisions right now about whether to extend certain shutdown orders and how to respond to those. I don't know when we'll see the accurate numbers, the real numbers. I don't know when the studies are going to be done and when the exposés are going to reveal things. Maybe not till 2023. So for now, please question, please ask questions, please research. And if I can help you at all, if I can connect you to a source of good information, if I can share with you the spreadsheets that they give me or a copy of the resolution or whatever information you think might be useful, just please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hamady. Anyone have any comments? Any discussion? Daniel?
I want to thank you for coming because you come here quite frequently
Oh, thank you.
over the years.
Yes, and I do intend to come back and give an after-sessions report when things are a little calmer.
Right, I understand that. But my question is, you have 105 representatives.
Yes, sir.
How many you said you needed on that petition? 60 what?
53.
53? And how many you have?
In the low 40s, I believe. We don't know an exact number.
So my next question is, I hate to bring this up, but I'm going to ask you, how many Republicans signed that?
All of the signers so far, to my knowledge, are Republicans.
How about Democrats?
As far as I know, we have no Democrats that have signed yet.
So here we go again. We got a Republican, Democrat issue just like you got in Washington. Whatever a Republican wants, the Democrats against it. Whatever a Democrat wants, the Republicans are against it. And that's the same thing we got in the legislature.
Yes, sir. Maybe
Thank
not,
you very
not nearly
much.
severe as Washington, but yes, at this point in time, and I can't speak for all the individual Democrats, but overall, the Democrats are following the lead of the governor, and they feel that signing this petition would oppose the governor, and that's not a position they
I
want to be in.
understand, but this world would be a lot greater if they forget about Republican and Democrat and do what's right for the people, for
I
everybody,
absolutely agree. Thank you.
you know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Ms. Lorraine. Mr. Melvin?
Representative Romney, I just had one quick question. I had a constituent concern that they say, well, if they do away with the emergency order, does that do away if we get a hurricane, or how does that, just briefly, if we get a hurricane coming, does that do away with another emergency order? You can call for that? Or-
No, sir. The specific wording in the petition says only COVID-related health emergency. So if we have a hurricane next week, or if we have say, a measles outbreak next month, it doesn't matter. It only pertains to a COVID-related emergency and only for 60 days. And that's just to give us a break so we can breathe for a moment and see what's really going on.
Yeah, and I want to echo Mr. Lorraine's sentiment in terms of thanking you for attending our meetings. Matter of fact, I think just a meeting or two ago, I was commenting on to Representative Fontenot, who came and gave a presentation that, you know, he said, I know you'll probably get these, and actually we've really, since in my terms, in the last 5 years, you've pretty much been the only representative that's been here on a regular basis, so I do thank you for that. And yesterday we had a meeting with Senator Cassidy, and, you know, I echoed the fact that, you know, our fear is irreparable damage to our businesses. There are many now that say that they're done, so while we certainly recognize the importance of COVID in that we lost, you know, a good friend of ours, a colleague of yours, Representative Reggie Bagala, so we understand the importance of COVID, but irreparable damage to our school systems, kids becoming antisocial, you know, this can't drag on forever. So if there's anything that we as a government can do to assist, or any actions that y'all feel that we should take, please make us aware of them. That's all I had to say. Mr. Jones has pressed his lights. I'll let him get a shot in.
I just got one quick question. How many have lost any relative or close family member to COVID? Whether it's Democrat or Republican. This stuff is real, and we need to take it serious. This seat I'm sitting in right now, that auditor was sitting here. He died of COVID. So we need to come to the table, not whether Democrat or Republican, and really think this thing out. Because I've lost a brother. I had a twin brother that had it, and it hit home. So I know how it feels. But that's what we need to consider. Not Democrat, not Republican.
Yes, sir, and thank you for bringing that up, and I am sorry for your loss. We have lost some very good people, and those who believe that the virus is not real are apparently not directly affected by it yet. The reality is that there is a virus. It's one of many thousands of viruses. It's here, and it's not going to simply go away. And just like all of the many other viruses, we are going to have to figure out how to live with it and take precautions so that we don't die from it. As you know, even though we've lost many loved ones, the actual survival rate from this particular virus is well above 99% overall. So it's getting more and more difficult to be able to defend just how much that we've shut down and how much we are requiring people to change their everyday lives in order to attempt to control a virus that is going to be with us and is extremely survivable. And at the beginning of the shutdown, the real focus was not to keep people from dying. That's going to happen. It was to keep people from dying because they couldn't get medical care because the hospitals were overwhelmed. And so far we've accomplished that, and we are still continuing to focus on that and keep that from happening. And that's why I say we may have some pockets in the state. We may have a few hospitals here and there who actually have reached their limit of ICU beds. But it's not all of them. And if it's one here, there's another one over there that could take some patients. There are ways to deal with it, is what I'm getting at. And so I appreciate your comments. And the virus knows no party. The virus does not attack people based on political affiliation. And even though the numbers give us some demographics about those who are more greatly affected by it or those who may catch it more easily, the virus doesn't discriminate. Everyone could catch it, so we all have to be careful.
Very good. Thanks again, Ms. Amity, for being present tonight. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Carleen.
State Representative-elect Joseph Ogeron, if you'd approach the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record.
Joseph Ogeron, 18903 East Main Street in Galliano, Louisiana, technically Golden Meadow by 911, but postal address is Galliano. Eventually, we're going to get that fixed. Addressing I came to address the council and the public here to thank everyone. We just finished an election that I was pretty certain that would be going into a runoff, and I'm very pleased that it didn't. And I got to say that it's the tremendous I see the tremendous outpouring of support from the people of District 54, the trust that they've given me to represent, and I come to say thank you, and I'll do my best. And just like other representatives that I've seen, Fontenot and Amadi come here, I'll do my best to come and give you all updates once I'm sworn in and on the job in the same way. And y'all have my number, or if you don't, please feel free to get it. I'd be happy to take questions or look into concerns anytime that y'all have them. And I just appreciate all y'all's support. Thank you very much.
Very good. Anybody got anything for Joe? Daniel?
Yeah, I want to congratulate you again, but I also want to throw this in. You're the only candidate that ran in that race that came in front of the council. Nobody else came. That might have had a lot to do with it.
Maybe so.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and let's hope he set a precedent. We're going to see he's going to engage us quite a bit. So that's what we're hopeful for, Joe. You got some big shoes to fill in terms of Reggie.
I also want to thank Representative Amity. She called me to congratulate me and also invited me to go to a committee meeting before I even got sworn in. But I did have some pre-existing commitments to the South Lafourche Levy Board, and that's where I was yesterday at their board meeting. So another important event that I had to make.
Joe, can you advise us when you're going to be officially sworn in, or have you been already?
I know that I got a call from the clerk of the House, who basically told me first the election needs to be officially certified, and then there's a minimum of 30 days before I have to be sworn in from special elections within 30 days. But we're looking actually for next Thursday or possibly the Monday after, as early as that. But
Great. Corey?
Yeah, Joe, just congratulations again. I told you before, I'm proud of your accomplishment. It's pretty much unheard of. 6 candidates in a race, and on night one, you finish with 55% of the vote. So that says a lot about you and your character and about what people have entrusted you with. So thanks again, and I look forward to working with you for many years to come.
thank you, Corey.
Very good. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
All right.
Ms. Carleen?
Mr. Herbert Plank, if you'd come to the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record. Mr. Plank, and please remember you have 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm Herbert Plank of 131 East Main Street in Lockport. I'm coming to in front of the council to address the issue that I've been here before about the property on the buyer side that I've taken care of since I moved into the property approximately 14 years ago. I've had some people just show up. They brought a derelict hull of a sailboat, tied it up on the buyer side, and they've proceeded to basically decimate all the work that I've done to clean up the buyer side and everything like that. I've been told by the police that I have no authority to take and do anything. I've had the solid waste department had come out and posted notices for them to remove all their belongings. It was supposed to be all removed by May 11th. Solid waste came out there with some dumpsters. Unfortunately, I was at work, so I wasn't able to witness it. Some of the stuff was removed. The public waste department allowed the gentleman to pick and choose what he threw away. And since then, none of the vehicles have come back. There's used tires, solid waste, human waste is all over the place. And I've been talking with the gentleman from Solid Waste, and he said that the parish president was trying to do something, and that was the last thing I heard.
Yeah, Herb, so, and unfortunately, you're right, the parish has invested quite a bit of money in assisting you, whether you know that or not. That's why you see all those DPW, we've sent people out there. The fight is not over. It's a long, slow fight, unfortunately, because it's not black and white in terms of what's in writing and what we've been able to find. But I can tell you the fight is not over. There was discussions on Friday that are still continuing. Actually, I think there was a meeting yesterday. Is that correct, Archie? So it's not over yet. I think there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm hopeful because as a fire chief, I've been out there quite a few times as well. And Lockport Police Department, that's not their jurisdiction. However, they've been keeping a close eye on it and relaying the information to me. So the best I can tell you right now, Herb, is unfortunately I still don't have a great answer for you. And it's been, parish government's been working on this for over a year. And like I said, we've spent a good bit of money and we're in the fight with you. It's just a slow process. So we hope to get resolution as well and for a bunch of different reasons.
I understand that. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for coming, Herb. Appreciate it.
Figure the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So.
You're absolutely correct.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Herb.
That's all I have, Chairman Oten. And
Thank you, Ms. Carleen.
I also have nothing from the public via Zoom.
Excellent. Okay. We can move on now to item G. Public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Councilman Pearl, second by Councilman Wendell. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes by a vote of 9-0. Item 4 is being pulled by Councilman Grow. Is that correct, Mr. Grow? So ordinance 4 is pulled. Item number 5, ordinance to install no-through traffic signs on West 11th Street from Highway 3235 to LA1 via West 11th Street in La Rose, Louisiana, and from Highway 1 to Highway 3235, La Rose, Louisiana, Ward 10, District 8, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, requiring the placement of no-through traffic signs and providing penalties for the violations thereof. Moved by Councilwoman Boudreaux, second by Councilman Lorraine. Would anyone from the public like to comment on this? Ordinance number 5. Anyone from the public 2 times? Anyone from the public 3 times? Anyone from the council? There be none. We'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes by a vote of 9-0. Item 6, ordinance accepting the subdivision known as 12 Cedars Crossing Subdivision Phase A into the parish system. Moved by Councilman Melvin for the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Adams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on this ordinance? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 7, ordinance approving the holding of an election in the Juvenile Justice Commission of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana on Saturday, December 5th, 2020, to authorize the levy of a special tax therein. Moved by Councilman Grow and Councilwoman Boudreaux as co-sponsors for the administration. A second by Councilman Melvin. Any discussion by the public? 1 time. Any comments? 2 times. Anything from the public? 3 times. Anyone from the council? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. I got a motion by Councilman Pearl to close public hearing. Second by Councilman Wendell. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item H, proposed ordinances. Mr. Melvin.
Thank you, sir. Number 8, proposed ordinance to install a caution autistic child in the area sign on Verma Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana, Ward 11, District 4, Parishes, Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing the necessary caution autistic child in the area sign to be placed near the address of 985 Verma Road, Thibodaux, Louisiana. Can someone move on that for me, please? Thank you. Number 9, proposed ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Melanie Boudreaux-Dague and Lafourche Parish Government, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement by any and all relevant documents. By Mr. Boudreaux for the administration. Proposed ordinance number 10, providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-014 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget and amend the Lafourche Parish Public Library budget and authorize the parish president to sign, execute, and administer transaction as provided by the Article 4 of Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Number 11, proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-015 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to increase the CDBG Lockport Community Center project by $568,533.37, reduce the CBDG Dugas Canal project by $361,092.16, and increase the CBD projects with all unallocated funds by funding $207,441.41 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter for Mr. Otam for the administration. Number 12, proposed ordinance providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-017 within the 2020 operations maintenance budget and capital outlay budget for the purchase of a refurbished 30-inch submersible axial flow pump head system for the rental of 2 pumps for Tropical Storm Cristobal in the amount of $80,088 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transaction as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Adams for the administration. Proposed ordinance number 13, providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-018 within the 2020 operations maintenance budget and capital budget to cover the additional cost for project 20000 playground equipment in the amount of $19,852 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, administer said transactions by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Proposed ordinance number 14, providing for a 2020 supplemental appropriation 20-016 within the 2020 operations and maintenance budget to budget for a grant that was awarded to the Office of Homeland Security for the emergency preparedness in the amount of $2,000 from the Williams Companies and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, administer said transactions provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Jones for administration. Number 15, proposed ordinance approving an active donation between Lafourche Parish Government and Veterans Memorial District Ward 10 of the Parish of Lafourche for the donation of 6 light poles and fixtures and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, administer said donation and any all relevant documents by Ms. Lorraine for the administration. Number 16, proposed ordinance amending and reenacting Section 266:66 of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinance in the Parish of Lafourche as it pertains to parish executive departments and authorize the parish president to sign, execute, and administer all relevant documents by Mr. Adams administration. That's it.
Okay, very well done. Thank you, Vice Chairman Melvin. Item I, resolutions. Number 17, resolution reappointing 1 member on the Fire Protection District Number 8A Board. Mr. Adams for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Adams?
Jonathan Cortez.
Mr. Jonathan Cortez, can I get a second? I got a second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 18, resolution appointing 1 member on the Heroes Monument Commission Board. Mr. Grove for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Grove?
Mr. Kyle Guidry.
Mr. Kyle Guidry, I get a second. I got a second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 19, resolution reappointing 2 members to the Hospital Service District Number 3 Board. Mr. Grove for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Grove?
2, Dr. Obie Hill and Jacob Jardina.
Mr. Hill and Mr. Giardini, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 20, resolution appointing 1 member to the Recreation District Number 8 Board. Mr. Perillo for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Perillo?
Michael O'Gwen, Jr.
Mr. Michael O'Gwen, Jr., second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 21, resolution changing the scope of work and project name for project number 14012 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Wendell for the administration, second by Mr. Perillo. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 22, resolution certifying compliance with the Louisiana Public Bid Law for Phase 1 of the Alley Drainage Improvements Project and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Perilou for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 23, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish government and the town of Golden Meadow to reimburse funding for the Golden Meadow seawall project and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Can I get a second by Mr. Perilou? Any discussion? Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to say that there's only 3 people here that was there when this started that's here now. That's myself, Mr. Jones, and Mr. Shasso, who happened to be the administrator. This started back in 2014. And it was presented by Mr. Lafourche, the ex-councilman. And they were going to take $150,000 for a seawall in Golden Meadow. And they were going to take it out of Raleigh, but they changed it to $100,000 instead of $150,000, and they took it out the general fund instead. Now, what happened here was in 2015, it was in the budget, and over the years, without a cooperative endeavor, you can't give them the money. It's that simple. But they could have come up with a cooperative endeavor. It became a political issue. It didn't have to be that way, but that's what happened. It became a hot political issue for 4 years, and nothing got done. And that money was put in the budget, and it was voted on by the council numerous times. And the administration has, I think, met with the mayor, and it's still there. So that's what we had.
Very good. Anyone else would like to comment on this resolution? Mr. Wendell.
Is that the, Daniel, is that the December last year where the mayor of Golden Meadow was here talking? Is that the same? Okay.
Yeah, the mayor was here in 2016, 2017, 2018. Unfortunately, Mr. Lorraine and the parish president at the time could not come in agreement with the mayor. The mayor was pretty vocal about that against both Mr. Lorraine and the parish president. And it was about the fact that there was no CEA. And so I think at all times, the council was in favor of giving the mayor the money. I mean, Golden Meadow is part of us. The problem was this little catch that everybody can get on the same page with. So I'm happy to see, and I'm sure the mayor is going to be happy to see it. We're moving forward. Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know we noted this in the synopsis, but I just wanted to say this for the public as well. We looked at what Reggie had done when he was the auditor. I know he did a substantial amount of research on which project worksheet from FEMA this had to do, because there was some confusion, I think, with the previous administration about what was what, and they were confused, or they were. So we went through what Reggie had put together. We met with Joey and Jamie in the town of Golden Meadow, and we're pretty satisfied based on all of that information that we have the right project worksheet, that the town hasn't just pocketed some money and stuck it in an account, and they're just, pillaging what they can get just to have some extra money. So that's why we ultimately decided in talking with Joey to actually put this on the agenda, so.
Yeah, I think we're all happy to see it. If we make a commitment to a municipality, we should follow through with it. Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to say that I was never against the project. I just was never involved with it. Mr. Lafourche wanted to take it, and it's my district, and he took it, and here's where we at. But every time something came up, I supported it.
Okay, in no further discussion, we'll move this to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 24, resolution accepting the low quote of Wiley Bro Electrical Services Incorporated in the amount of $22,941 for the project title Lighting Improvements at the Kramer Walking Track, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Adams for the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Groh. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 25, resolution appointing one commissioner to the Veterans Memorial District Ward 10 of the Parish of Lafourche Board. Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Lorraine?
It's Benjamin Connor.
Mr. Benjamin Connor, can I get a second? Second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor, you had a discussion, Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to say it's a parish president's appointment. And Mr. Ducey, who passed, Linton, was always president from the day one till he passed away. And I'm sure he's watching right now to see who I was going to, not me, but I asked the parish president to consider putting Benjamin. And I know Benjamin's going to do a good job, but Linton, he was very, very, he always wanted to do everything right, and it didn't matter what it cost. He wanted nothing but the best. And he's gone. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank Mr. Ducey for his service. And we welcome Mr. Connor. So I had a motion, a second. Any further discussion? There be none. We'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Congratulations, Mr. Benji. Item 26, resolution approving an agreement between the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development and Lafourche Parish Government for the Lafourche Terrebonne Scenic Overlook Project, state project number H.001461-supersede, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Perilou for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Very anxious to see that project kicked off. Item 27, resolution approving an agreement between Ducks Unlimited Incorporated and Lafourche Parish Government for the Bully Camp Marsh Terraces Project and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Ms. Boudreau. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. I'm sorry, somebody said something? No. Item 28, resolution accepting a grant in the amount of $2,000 from the Williams Companies for COVID-19 responder support and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. President.
I just want to take a second to publicly thank Williams for doing his donation. This is probably the second or third time they've done this for the guys over in OEP, and we've used it before to buy a laptop for our air monitors and things like that. So just for the public to know, I wanted to thank Williams.
Yes, we certainly appreciate industry assisting OEP. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 29, resolution amending resolution number 20-075 and replacing the intergovernmental agreement between Lafourche Parish Government, the Lafourche Parish Sheriff, the Lafourche Parish Clerk of Court, and the 17th Judicial District Court for security at the courthouse and courthouse annex in Thibodaux, Louisiana, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? Mr. Grove.
All right, are they holding court right now? I mean, I know we got to do the thing. I mean,
Yeah,
are
they
they,
are.
not jury
Mr.
trials, anything, just,
No, not jury
Mr.
trials.
President.
I'm sorry. Mr.
Go ahead.
Chairman. Yeah, they are having court. It's just not jury. The jury trials, I think, are suspended through August. But they are doing some
They
civil
still can.
dockets and some other criminal stuff, yeah.
okay.
So what happened with this, and I know we put it in the synopsis as well, we sent out last week. Judge LeBlanc, who's the chief judge, puts this together every year and sends it to us. For some reason, it got routed to us before it went to the sheriff's office, so you guys approved it. And when we went through the line to get the sheriff to sign it, they realized that the costs were off. There's a small increase every year because, of course, the sheriff's office retirement, everything that we cover goes up. So they sent it back to us with the updated figure.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 30, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Picciolo and Associates Incorporated for the project titled La Rose Boat Launch and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Boudreau for the administration, second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 31, resolution approving a professional services agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Civic Source to assist with the disposition of agitated properties throughout the parish and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Grove for the administration, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Moves us to item G, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Managers' Reports, Presentations, and or updates. Item 32, Department of Public Works Representative to present a report. Mr. Dillon, you have the floor.
All right, good evening. This is the July 2020 report. Getting started. District 1, this is Louise Street, we swept the canal. Pine Ridge Street, swept street side ditches. Moving on to District 2, Greenwood Plantation, repaired road. Ashland Levee, remove vegetation from the canal. Bayou Buff School Levee, replace collapsed culvert. Lee Drive, swept street side ditches. Moving to District 4, St. Charles Bypass Road, installed driveway culvert. Thoroughbred outfall, remove vegetation from the outfall. And we're currently working on the outfall behind Supercharge at this time. Lafourche Bypass Road pump, spread dirt by the discharge pipe. Moving to District 5, Willow Street, swept street side ditches. Meadowland subdivision, cutting grass. Bailey's Drive, installed driveway culvert. Fern Street, swept street side ditches. Moving to District 6, this is Market Street, swept street side ditches. Same thing on Garden Lane. And Millie Street. This is the Blanchard Canal. We finally finished sweeping that canal out. This is St. James Street, swept street side ditches. Moving to District 7, North Canal Street, replace collapsed driveway culvert. This is the Hamilton Street Bridge, repaired dip at the approach. There's also a bigger project that's going to become to help this dip, the timber bulkhead on the approach of these two, on both sides of this bridge is failing, so we're working to remedy that as well. St. Pierre Street, clean culverts. T-Wall Pump Station, clean trash rakes. Moving to District 8, East 19th Street, clean culverts. East 25th Street, cutting grass. East 28th Street, swept the outfall. East 43rd Place, swept street side ditches. East 43rd Place, removed collapsed landscape culvert. West 58th Street, this is the installation of speed limit signs. East 72nd Street, cut bamboo that was in the LPG right-of-way. West 14th Street, patch the street. East 74th Street, swept street side ditches. Moving to District 9, this is the Golden Meadow boat launch, repaired the bank line. This is a repair on the wharf. West 223rd Street, patched pothole. This is on Military Road, we swept the roadside ditch. West 216th Street, West 216th Street outfall, swept the outfall. West 125th Street, patched the pothole. And that's it. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Mr. Adams?
Yes, sir, Mr. Baroni. Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Some nice tractors up there. I'm just wondering when the ones in Choctaw are going to be fixed.
We're working on it. We had 3 out. We got 1 back running. So
Okay, that's cool. Just putting it out there, buddy.
2 left to fix. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anyone else have anything for Dylan? Mrs.
Okay,
Boudreaux?
Dylan, you want to put back West 58th Street for me, please?
West 58th Street.
Yeah. So here on West 58th Street, you see the catch basins with the cones around it? This project was started before Dylan was in, before I was in, got started in October or November. Dug up a lot of the ditches, replaced culverts that were collapsed, dug ditches that needed to be dug, but we tore up some driveways. We have open catch basins. Those cones are there. We go replace the tape. But we really got to work on getting that taken care of.
Yes, ma'am.
It's becoming an issue for a lot of the residents there. Their driveways aren't completed. They have holes in their yards where children are at play. So we just need to work on getting that finished.
Yes, ma'am, and we are. This project was started with, I guess, without the total funding and the budget for it. So we have done everything we can with the monies we have at this time. So
Right.
we are looking for it. I mean, we know it needs to be replaced. It's a hazard, it's an issue. Just trying to find funding at this time to wrap it
Gotcha.
up.
I just wanted to make sure we were all on record on
certainly,
that and saying
certainly.
what we needed to get taken care of.
We even
on that
have, we
street.
even have prices from the contractor to finish this work.
Right, so the contract is there, or the bid is there.
Yes,
Was
ma'am.
accepted, we just have to find the funding for it.
Yes, ma'am, correct.
To finish it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Ms. Boudreaux reminds me of, I know you had looked at the, when she mentioned about the grading catch basin. Was any action done or taken with the school, the road, is it Holy Rosary? The Holy Rosary School, the issue at the intersection by the sidewalk collapsing?
No, sir, not yet. We need to have a site visit on that, but we intend to. The grass was cut last week, I believe, so we can see what's going on there and inspect it, but something needs to be done. We'd like to get it done before school starts, if at all possible.
Yeah, to me, that's an emergency repair.
Yes,
That
sir.
needs anyway, I know it's Ms. Boudreaux's district, okay, anyone else have anything for Dylan? Okay, move to item K, discussion, and Mr. Adams has pulled number 33, so I'll go down the line by each councilman. If you have any follow-up, any other requests or items to ask of the parish president, Mr. Lorraine.
Yes, I had talked to Mr. Chasson earlier on the water lilies. You said they were starting some of that.
Yeah, so I passed the freshwater district's truck headed south, I want to say it was yesterday morning. So they've started on the upper reach and headed down.
And the other couple of questions I got is that I've been getting a lot of calls, and I don't usually get too many calls. People that are concerned with this virus, about people not wearing masks, about a hotline, and about testing. That's the calls I'm getting. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but and I usually turn them over to the administrator, which he does a pretty good job on it. Not trying to pass the buck. I mean, I keep up with it as much as I can. But is there anything on, especially a hotline, that somebody can call if they see something that's not right?
So if you guys noticed yesterday, the sheriff's office put out a pretty detailed press release about kind of the enforcement of the mask mandate and how that was gonna work. Most of that enforceability relies with the state fire marshal and OPH. So in that press release, and we can publish it, I don't know if Caroline shared it, I think we did. There's a 1-800 number that you can call if you walk into a business that's either doesn't have employees wearing masks or you feel that they're not wearing them correctly. You know, a lot of people wear them below their nose and stuff like that. That you can actually call that 1-800 number and report the business, and they'll either contact the local sheriff's office or they'll send OPH or the state fire marshal to go out and look at it. So we have made a request, and we have a meeting with the GOSEP representatives tomorrow at St. Charles's EOC for our region. We have made a request for some additional testing. The problem that we're running into is that all the labs are so overwhelmed that GOSEP is saying, we can send you the lab, we can send you the little RV, and you could do some testing, but it's gonna take you 10 to 15 days to get that test result back. So at that point, you might as well just, if you can't smell, you might as well just stay home for 14 days, and if it doesn't get any worse, then just quarantine yourself, which is what a lot of the medical professionals are saying right now. So that's kind of where we've until we can speed up that testing, that there's really no need to have, or really any reason to have the unit come down here to do any of it, because it's not gonna do us a whole lot of good anyway.
But what makes it look bad is that every time you put the TV on, they're testing on the West Bank, they're testing in New Orleans, they're testing here, they don't test too much in the rural areas of the parish.
So we were lucky, Ochsner stepped up last week and did 2 days of the rapid test at Living Word Church on Highway 311 that was open to anybody in the region. And Beryl talked, and she's still here. Beryl talked about the spreadsheet, so we get those numbers too, and we've talked about that before, and how we dissect the numbers and how we report it. But just kind of a brief, kind of a quick overview, and I was gonna do this when I did mine, but, you know, we have 18 people currently in the hospital right now in Lafourche with a COVID-related illness. You know, they talk about ICU beds, and then we have 731 total beds in Region 3, which is St. Mary, Terrebonne, Lafourche, St. Charles, St. John, and St. James. There's 430 in use with 301 available. We have 121 ventilators for our region. There are only 18 in use, so we have 103 available there. So we're not in any type of critical mass or anything like that. You know, I have had some concerns the last couple of days, not so much about the numbers increasing, because we know that's gonna happen the more we test people. It's the hospitalizations that kind of got me a little unnerved right now, because the last 3 days, we've added about 10 people in just a short period of time. So those numbers are concerning, which is why we've, encouraged people to wear masks and kind of, you may not agree with the governor's mandate, and I don't always, but, it's America. We still have the right to choose, but, at the end of the day, God commanded us to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So just have a little bit of empathy and put one on if you don't mind when you go out.
Very good, Mr. President.
It's like Mr. Jones said, this stuff is serious. Some people just don't realize it, or they don't want to realize it, but I think more people are getting more attention now. And that's the questions that I've been asked, and appreciate your help. And one more thing, we were able to lower the dock in Meadville Boat Launch. So it helped out a lot of the elderly people. Now they could get there and don't have to climb 4 or 5 feet. So I want to thank the administration for that. And I want to thank all you guys for giving the mayor his money. You see when he don't show up, what he gets? If he'd have showed up, I don't know what would have happened. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Ms. Boudreau? Nothing, Mr. Perilou?
Yeah, first I want to thank the administration and DPW Director, Mr. Baroni, and Mr. Mitch Orgeron. I sent a request last week or a few days ago asking them to implement, first of all, the nature of where we live, we're going to have sitting water. Drainage is an issue in a lot of places. So I sent them a request asking them to enlist the assistance of like drone technology to look at water that's not moving properly. And they've agreed to do that, and I think that's a step in a positive direction for a lot of the residents. Also, I need the administration to help me enlist some help from Drainage District 1 on a couple of streets that are in Central Lafourche. Central Lafourche Drive and St. Anthony Street, perennial, slow-moving drainage issues. So if we can get some more help from Drainage District on 1, I'm going to draft a letter to them asking them to send some engineering support maybe and to look at those 2 places and see what else we can do. I know DPW works real hard on doing everything within our power as a parish, but that's another resource that I think we should be tapping into a little harder and heavier for the residents. And then above Drainage District 1, I still have several streets that have some issues in Raceland that, Dylan's very proactive working with me on that. I appreciate that. But, we have to throw everything within our power and our resources into these issues while we're sitting in these offices. So I appreciate everything you guys doing. And wearing the mask is not always comfortable. It's to protect each other. I mean, a lot of people look at it as a civil liberties issue and things like that. But, I don't want some guy that has a liberty issue coughing on my family member. So, just think about each other and not just your own personal preferences when dealing with this. Appreciate it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Perilou. Mr. Wendell? Yes, sir. Very good. Mr. Melvin?
Yeah, I just want to thank the administration, especially Dylan and Archie, for helping us go through some hurdles we had recently. And also, any news on the right-of-way we're trying to get for 6 years now, going on 6 years, behind Wilson Street? We had a temporary, but...
Mr. President? Yeah, if you don't mind, Dylan, so we can hear it for the record. Or you can't say you didn't say this and you didn't say that.
So no update from the last time I talked to you. The landowner does have the right-of-way in his possession. He's reviewing it. We've not been able to make contact with him since we've given it to him, so.
And y'all
hopefully-
tried to make contact with
Yes,
him, and
sir.
he's playing
Yes, sir.
peekaboo? Okay,
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
guessing.
But yeah,
Okay.
we have tried to contact him.
Okay,
so.
thank you.
As soon as we do get contact,
Okay,
we're
thank
ready to
you.
dig it.
And also,
Yeah.
real quick, I think, Archie, one good question to ask too, with anything dealing with COVID numbers, is testing versus mortality rate is very important, because I know that it seems like there unfortunately is a certain population segment that is more affected than others, with those with who have comorbidities, AKA pre-existing conditions. And I know hospitalizations are up in different areas, and of course, that concerns me, no matter who it is. And I just would like to know, too, if we can get some ideas, if, just not names, but I mean, what are some of the demographics or age or comorbidities? Do they have them? That's just all, you know. I always look at that. Thank you.
So we don't know if they have any pre-existing conditions, but I can tell you, their age, their race, their sex, if they were a nursing home patient or not. We know that from the list we get from the coroner's office every day, or not every day, but when we do have a death. We don't get, we get the same spreadsheet, and and I'll ask you, and I probably should know this, and I feel bad that I don't, but we get a spreadsheet every day that I think Eric passes on to you guys.
Yes, sir, he does.
So you'll be able to see, the previous day's cases and the totals, as well as the number of state tests, commercial tests, the increase in testing, and then it'll give you some percentages about population-based infection rates and stuff like that. So, and they've changed it up the last couple of days, so now we're seeing, inpatient stats, daily cases for the week, that sort of stuff. Because those daily cases for the week really have to do with the governor's mask mandate, and if we ever could opt out, if we ever hit some of those target goals. So, you should be able to see those.
Right, and I appreciate that. I think it comes down to numbers. And again, just FYI, I was looking at a British study. Somebody sent me, said, hey, look at this. And 153 people in the study, and everybody's in a facility. So again, the public is not getting the mortality numbers. We are. So all they're getting is what they see in the news, unfortunately. Sometimes it's kind of hard to weed through all of it. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Grove.
I was going to mention, I want to thank DPW again. I rode around with some of the guys today. I know Dylan was pretty slammed this week catching up from vacation. He picked a bad week to go, too. July 3rd, there was a tremendous rain. I mean, especially in the northern part of the parish. The rain gauges don't lie. I mean, I was calling a guy that had one, and he had 4.5 inches in an hour and 15 minutes. I heard on Renee and all, they had up to 7 inches. The pumps, people need to realize these pumps can only take so much. We get the call from you, we make sure the pumps are on, but some of these pumps it could take an hour to get to, and they can't just crank all of them on. Water needs to get to one, then they can they'll burn them up if they turn them on all at one time. So just keep the calls coming. I understand your concern, but we can't prepare for some of this rain that's coming down that fast and furious in an hour. We've had the threat of Cristobal was nothing. Yesterday it was like a hurricane in Thibodeau, These things come upon us quick, and I can assure you we have a good staff, but if you can also be neighborly and clean your own ditches and catch basins out when you see that there's leaves, and don't wait for us to come around, or don't wait till a storm's approaching to say, hey, come cut my ditch. We can't monitor every one of our ditches in our district, but I can assure you, I know I do, and I can imagine the rest of the 9, all of us are not going to ignore your request about something that needs to get turned into DPW. It's only a phone call or an email. It's not that difficult for us to make the request. And then, it's not, unless you Bo, who cuts grass on the side of the state highways, it's really out of our hands, So please understand that. Also, Archie, when we meet about the budget stuff, I have some stuff with DOTD in some areas that affect Jones and I. They were right outside that big drainage project in Barbier, Oak, St. Bernard, that if we can maybe get with Dwayne and those guys, just somebody to do some kind of study, that if we could tie into that some kind of way. Because, it's unfortunate, they're right outside of the major project that went from St. Mary back past the jail and all, and they could throw a stone and see it's dry, and they in ankle deep, knee deep water. So, Dylan, also Marie, I wanted to ask you earlier, there was a Jake breaking issue which we passed over here, and we sent off to the state on Highway 3185. And when we turned it in, we didn't give a specific address. We kind of gave a, hey, between these mailboxes and these, and I thought they would figure it out. Just see where we are on that, if you can. So, other than that, that was it. Thank you.
Mr. Adams?
Yeah, in light of some stuff that came up recently, that's why I pulled 33. But I want to just say a quote. You know, the truth hurts. It doesn't hurt as much as jumping on a bicycle without a seat, but it still hurts.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Jones? Mr. President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's going to be hard to follow. Just a couple of quick things to let you guys know about. One, Chairman Otan was with us this morning. We kicked off kind of our parish-wide tax reform steering committee with Dr. Richardson this morning. It was a good 2-hour kind of around the table talk about things we needed to look at, you know, and the way we've been doing business. So we're going to give Dr. Richardson about 6 weeks to kind of gather up all the information we gave him today, as well as some additional information that Wendy's going to work on over the next couple days. And then hopefully in about 6 weeks, we'll have another meeting where we can kind of discuss what he's come up with and then kind of a path forward from there on millage rates and things like that. I know Mitch has reached out. Michael just mentioned, Councilman Groh just mentioned the budget. If you do have any wish list stuff that you haven't turned in yet, I know Mitch is working on setting up meetings with each one of you to kind of talk about some things that you want included in there. So we're going to continue to work on that. Renita and her staff are doing a great job with putting together the budget. The big thing that we are waiting on is Wendy's just about finished reassessment. So we're going to have to make some decisions in the next month or two about millage rates and if we roll forward, what we roll forward, and how we're going to plan that out. There's been a lot of talk the last, especially a couple of days, about returning to school, and sometimes we overlook that we have a Head Start program that we have to worry about. So I want to give props to Melissa. I talked to her this afternoon. Her and her staff have been working on a reentry plan for our youngins, and how we're going to make that work, and how many 4-year-olds they're going to have versus what's going into pre-K into the public system. So we're going to work on that over the next couple days. And I know Delen's their liaison, so I'm sure she'll be involved in that and get a heads up. But we'll make sure you guys see a copy of that. And Corey, to your point, props to Robbie for having that drone conversation with you the other night. I think that's going to go a long way in helping us do some stuff. May not always work if we have a monsoon and we get a lake, but it may tell us some things, and that's a great avenue. Whether we're talking about thermal imaging cameras that we can put on these things, or technology will go a great long way to help that. So we'll get working on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, and I'll echo Mike Groh's comments, basically on pumps, if the pumps are running or not, because that's probably one of the most regular calls I get. And unfortunately, sometimes the pumps aren't running. There are operator errors. But I do want the public to know that the Department of Public Works for the parish government, as well as I know the North Lafourche Levy District, is working towards more automation. So trying to implement technology to take operator error out of the equation. Because we do have mistakes, and we have a lot of pumps, and to 24/7 have a man sitting there 24/7, 365 days a year is really not realistic. And when I had one night nearly an 11-inch rainfall one night. Sometimes the operator's just sleeping. He's not there at the pump, so the automatic pump kicks on, but all the other ones that require manual doesn't necessarily happen. So hopefully, as we continue to move forward, I know Dylan's involved in it, and I know North Lafourche Levy District is. I'm hoping that there be more transparency to the public, that there's more automation, and eliminate that I guess regular call that we get about whether the pumps are or aren't running. Last parting shots that I have is just asking, please, Lafourche, mask up. None of us like it. Respect your neighbor. Please distance yourself as much as possible. Please sanitize your home, your businesses, your doorknobs. Let's just all take an extra effort to try to protect each other, because the last thing we want is for there to be irreparable damage to our community, our businesses, etc. So doing our little part, let's take it out of the governor's hands and let's do our part and make this thing turn. With that said, motion by Mr. Perillo, second by Mr. Wendell. That there being no further business, Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting of July 14th, 2020 will be adjourned at 18:29 hours. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.